So, as promised, uh, every time I get a bunch of questions about the same subject, I will always answer to the best of my abilities. So, lately I've been getting the question about Tartaria, the ancient lands of Tartaria, the ancient empire, the kingdom of Tartaria. I've been researching it for a while now. I know a few things, and I know some things that are, sketchy about it. So, for those who don't know, Tartaria is apparently an ancient kingdom that existed in the northern Europe, starting from the west coast of Europe, going all the way to the Wall of China. Apparently, they also created the Wall of China. Tartaria is a kingdom that has been, what can I say, linked to great ancient technology and amazing feats that we cannot, that we're still trying to reproduce right now. So I've heard a lot of people talk about it, you know, um, even stating that some of the buildings in America and everything, that's all Tartarian technology and everything, right? They also somehow bring in the story about the mudslides, whereas in apparently, for those who don't know what mudslides are, the whole theory about them is that a few thousand years ago, after the flood, there was another flood. And with this flood, it sort of raised up the sea level of the earth. And from there, it covered up a lot of basically what existed before. It's like the way you hear how the pyramid was found. They they dug them up, right? Like the whole Giza sites. They sort of dug them out in the sand, like they were at a higher place, but then they saw something sticking out, and then they dug them out, and then it's what we see now. So the whole mudslide thing is that kind of a situation. The mud flood is that back in the day we we existed and there was technology and we had cities and we basically remaking what was there. So some of the buildings in America were actually not built but were actually dug, fully formed, and people just moved in. Some of the cities, what we call the great cities, people found fully formed and with great architecture, and they were able to, you know, remove all that sand and then be able to repopulate the places. So it's going back to the Tartarian thing. Apparently, that's what happened in ancient Europe, where uh, the mud flood happens and then everything gets locked up. And then after that, when the people start digging out, you get those amazing Russian buildings and all that architecture that you'd only find in Europe. Apparently that's all Tartarian Empire. So my real thoughts on this. So I was just basically laying out what sort of the theory is. My thoughts on the whole Tartarian thing is, well, we could say it existed. I remember a few years ago, people were saying that the British Empire spanned the entire world. You put down a map and you lay it flat, there are spots everywhere on it that say this is the British Empire. So it could be that the empire, the Tartarian Empire did exist, but it was a bunch of countries put together, little kingdoms that made something. Because we need to remember that politics and all this diplomatic stuff only comes in now, formally. Before it was just king's rulership, you know, and the community never liked the kings. They kill the king, replace that family with another family, or choose someone better in that line. So Now what we're looking at is people who are claiming that this Tartarian Empire had electricity. We're just rediscovering electricity. They had amazing pneumatic hydraulic technology that they were using to get around free energy. Well, we are still, you know, what's eluding us, free energy. Yet everyone who finds free energy gets killed or comes up missing. So this civilization of Tartaria apparently existed. I would be inclined to believe that, but I'm one to also bring this caveat to demystify the whole thing and say that it was not a Caucasian empire. This is where I deviate with everything. Everything that's written about it could be true, amazing. However, I take umbrance to the fact that it's somehow claimed as a Caucasian empire. It's not. We all understand that all of Europe was always populated by what we would call the African, the Proto African, you know, all of Asia, from China to the Buddha gods to all those people with the Ainus and all those people that made Japan. There were Africans involved in all these kingdoms. So I I always see it like it's the way I'm seeing it as the new this Tartarian subject. I see it as the new what we call the those people. What is it? Hitler. He loved those people. The Aryan Empire. I see it as the new Aryan Empire, where the Aryan Empire, blue eyes, white hair, white skin. Whereas in the true Aryan Empire was actually Vedic. It was more Hindu based, and Vedic comes from the the hidden scripts, of the Bhagavad Gita and all those situations. So and those manuscripts. So I feel this Tartarian thing. I don't know how it is that people can always understand that all knowledge, even with electricity, they always try to. Electricity was already being used in the pyramids, you know, and I'm just tired of people trying to sort of always claim things that they don't know anything about. They are studying them, we live them. We understand. When we dream, we go back in time, you know. So as an African, I feel I need to throw this caveat out there and say, yes, I do not argue with you when you say the Tartarian Empire existed, but I must bring in the fact that it was an empire of African people. Not everyone obviously was dark skinned. Just like in Africa, we have light skinned people even before the Caucasians and the white and the Anglo Saxons came and, you know, invaded us. So we need to start always looking at things and remembering the truth of it. Because every video rendering, every picture I see of the Tartarian Empire, it seems to always be on a sort of Elizabethan kind of theme, which it's not. It's not. Like people somehow are, but I know what it is. I mean, you recreate something in your image, saying it's what you're recreating, yet you're creating it. So I just feel I had to say that. So yeah, it's a beautiful subject going into the Tartarian Empire. These people had free energy; they could pluck energy from the sky. We're still learning what they're doing with it and everything like that. Even churches, what we would call those giant cathedrals and amazing centers of knowledge, they were actual places where electricity was like a power station. When you look at the power station right now, they were sort of that. They harnessed physical energy, which is the electricity, and they also harnessed spiritual energy from the people that were there. So it was powered by the what can I say, the scientific and the supernatural, which is what we are. We are supernatural beings inhabiting a vessel, to be able to be in this rendering of what we call this dimension. So yeah, I just believe that iqiniso ukuthi, the Tartarian Empire did exist. I wouldn't deny that. However, I'm trying to make people remember that even the Greeks, people keep thinking Greeks are white people. They're not. They've never been. Just like Italians. The Italians were never white. They only became white in America because of class and stature. When they moved from lower economic class and moved into the upper echelons, that's when they started being deemed as white. Italians are not white. Portuguese people are not white people. They are Europeans, and Europeans are Africans originally. It's the Norse people who are not African. The Norse, those, yeah, the, you know, pointy nosed and whatnot. Yeah, those are not Africans. But if you have like that dark hair, brunette, you're African. You have African blood in you somehow. So yeah, I would believe that we need to start speaking truth. I do love people who are researching and everything. However, when we look at things, we shouldn't look at them through the white eye. We should look at them through the true eye. The Greeks got the knowledge from the Egyptians. It wasn't a big stretch because they were all black. When the Greeks were talking to the Egyptians and Pythagoras and whatnot, they were learning from their brothers. It was a brotherhood, Africanness, you know. So we also need to shy away from dispelling this whole rumor that all this. I mean, right now, the people think Egypt is part of Middle East. It's not. It's not. Egypt is Africa. The Middle East is not the Middle East, it's Africa. It's just that the territory of the Middle East is what was called that when the Persian Empire took over. However, before that, it was all Africa, right up until Europe and right up until Asia. So, okay, I think I've said enough.